There's a moment most people have experienced at least once. You're sitting in a meeting. A problem gets thrown on the table. Everyone goes quiet. People start suggesting the obvious answers, the usual approaches, the same tired solutions. And then someone in the corner says something completely different. Not louder, not more confident, just different. And the whole room stops. Because somehow, in the same amount of time, with the same information, they found an answer nobody else even came close to. You've seen this person. Maybe you've wondered what's going on inside their head. Today, you're going to find out exactly what that is. This video is about one specific mental trick that genuinely separates sharp thinkers from average ones. Not IQ, not education, not talent. One trick, backed by decades of cognitive psychology research, used instinctively by some of the most effective problem solvers on the planet. And by the end of this video, you'll know precisely what it is, why your brain resists it naturally, and how to start using it before today is over. Let's get into it. Here's something nobody teaches you in school. Your brain is not designed to find the best answer. It's designed to find the fastest one. Every time you face a problem, your mind immediately pulls from a mental library, past experiences, familiar patterns, previous solutions. It finds the closest match and runs with it. This works beautifully for routine tasks. It saves energy. It saves time. But the moment you face a problem that doesn't fit a familiar pattern, that same system becomes a trap. Your brain locks in on one direction, one framework, one way of seeing the situation, and it defends that view even when the answer isn't there. Psychologists call this cognitive tunnel vision, and every single person in that meeting room we talked about, they were stuck in it, except one. The person in the corner wasn't thinking harder. They were thinking sideways. In the 1960s, a psychologist named Edward de Bono introduced a framework that would quietly become one of the most influential ideas in modern cognitive science. He called it lateral thinking. The concept is simple but profound. Most of us think vertically. We go deeper into the problem using the information we already have. Step by step, layer by layer, always in the same direction. Lateral thinking means deliberately stepping out of that direction entirely. It means asking not just what's the answer, but am I even looking at this correctly? That shift, that sideways step, is where breakthrough ideas live. The genius in the corner didn't have access to better information than you. They just refused to accept the problem the way it was handed to them. Here's where it gets really interesting. Every stuck problem contains at least one hidden assumption. Something everyone in the room has accepted as true without ever questioning it. An invisible wall that nobody built, it just appeared, and everyone started walking around it automatically. Effective lateral thinkers have one habit that makes all the difference. Before they try to solve anything, they ask one question. What am I treating as fixed here that might actually be flexible? That question is a key, because the moment you identify an assumption you've been carrying, the problem reshapes itself entirely. Angles you couldn't see before become obvious. Solutions that were always available suddenly step into view. Think about how Uber was built. Everyone in transportation was trying to solve the problem of how do we get more taxis on the road. The Uber founders asked a different question entirely. What if the car doesn't need to be a taxi at all? Same problem, different frame. Billion-dollar answer. That's not genius. That's lateral thinking. Here's the part that matters most. This is not something you either have or you don't. Research in neuroplasticity consistently shows that deliberate thinking habits reshape cognitive patterns over time. The brain you use to think is not static. It responds to practice. People who develop strong lateral thinking ability share one common behavior. They resist the first answer, not because they distrust themselves, but because they've learned that the first answer is almost always the most obvious one, and the most obvious answer is rarely the most powerful one. They pause. They reframe. They ask what else could be true. And over time, that pause becomes instinct. You don't need a high IQ to do this. You need a habit. Let's make this practical. First, question the obvious. Next time you face a problem, write down the 3 assumptions you're already making about it. Then ask yourself, what if one of these isn't actually true? Second, reverse the problem. Instead of asking, how do I solve this? Ask what would make this problem worse. Then flip every answer. You'll find approaches you never would have reached going forward. Third, borrow a different lens. Ask yourself how someone in a completely different field would approach this. How would a designer see it? A chef? A coach? Perspective distance creates lateral movement. These aren't complicated techniques. They're small, deliberate habits that retrain your brain to step sideways instead of always pushing straight ahead. So here's the truth about that person in the meeting room. They weren't born different. They didn't have access to a special mental gift that skipped the rest of us. They had a habit of questioning the frame before working inside it. A habit of stepping sideways when pressure tells everyone else to push forward. That habit has a name, lateral thinking. And now you know exactly what it is, why it works, and how to build it yourself. The next problem you face that feels completely stuck, don't dig deeper into the same direction. Step back. Challenge what you're assuming. Look at it from somewhere nobody else is standing. That's not just clever thinking. That's the trick genius people use. And now it's yours. If this changed how you think about thinking, hit that like button. It genuinely helps this channel reach people who need it. Subscribe if you want more psychology content like this. Real science, no fluff, just things that actually make you sharper. And if you want to go deeper, the next video on cognitive biases that secretly control your decisions is right there. Watch that next. I'll see you in it.